Here we are looking at a new enclosure for our African area, and what we're going to look at, we're going to look at a giraffe enclosure. Now we're going to try something very different in this episode. As you can see, we're going to start off with our standard panel, and we're just going to put some random designs across it, and we're going to copy and paste and kind of make a circular from it. Now we know there are ways in which you can just go round in a circle and hope it all fits, but where we've curvatured this one a little bit more than having it flat, it doesn't work that well, so we're going to do this manually. That's right. We are going to do this manually, and we're going to see how it goes. Now obviously when you do things in a circle, there is a possibility that you will have a gap either side, and you will have a gap at the end that doesn't quite fit. So with this one, hopefully as well, we can change it so that the gap perfectly matches the entrance which we want into the building. Of course, so that does mean the chances of it being exactly round are very slim. However, a very unique design, a slight curvature on it, and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to do it manually. Yes, you can do it automatically. You will see that in a future episode actually, because we have built another enclosure after this for a new animal coming to the park. But for this one, we want to get the giraffes a new house, and we want to get the zebras a new house on their own little island just inside of the African area. And as you can see, it is a bit of a pain to select everything and kind of go back in, but that's the way we want to do it. And then we will match it up, and we will put some trees and different kind of scenery on it as well to make sure that it all works absolutely fine and it looks good at the end, because ultimately we do want it to look good at the end. It is quite hard on these curved ones to kind of get the right angle. As you can see here, the gap is too small. So we're going to remove a little bit of the work that we've done and make sure the gap is big enough. Now the idea of this enclosure is it's going to be a lot more interactive with our guests. That's what we want at the end of the day. We want it interactive with our guests. We want them to be able to walk through the enclosure to have a look at the giraffes and the zebras. So we are going to be putting a walkway across, and we are going to be putting a walkway out as well, and a new entrance area for the giraffes. And of course we will stick with the kind of what we've done initially in having a bit of water, because giraffes and zebras don't go in the water, so we can have a little bit of water, and we can obviously keep the animals on the island and still get great views of them. So one thing we did do is we did have these beams, but I just don't think the beams cover enough. As you can see, there is a bit of a gap between them. So we're going to use the large logs. The large logs are amazing. They're just so universal in how we use them and what we do with them. So we're going to remove all of this now. As I said, we've already put these in, so we're not going to mess around by recopying it all. So we're going to remove all this now, and then we're going to copy these logs across, and that's how we're going to be doing it. And as you can see with the log now, as you come back around, it does fit a lot nicer, and we will put something on the top as well, because we want it to kind of look like it's going through glass, to have a glass roof on it. But yeah, it's hard. We watch a lot of videos, we see a lot of videos, and people say about realistic builds and realistic zoos and how things should look. But obviously, these zoos are only going on what they feel looks good. At the end of the day, for anyone creating, whatever you put up is ultimately new and fresh. If you want to have something completely different to what you've seen, do something completely different to what you've seen. And the idea of this is we want to do something a little bit different. We've taken some ideas that we've seen in having a nice circular one. We want to make it a little bit more rustic and a little bit less sort of, statically around, and really kind of modern. We don't want to make it look too modern, to be perfectly honest with you. We want to have it a little bit of a rustic effect, and obviously we want to have a walkway going through it so people can see exactly what's happening, and people can kind of get to grips and get amazing views of the animal, which is ultimately what we want. Now, of course, we are going to have an entrance area to this. So this is the entrance building we're building now. Although this wood actually isn't for a African effect, I love this wood, absolutely love it. And of course, we can put the giraffes and zebras with a nice bit of flower on here as well. And this is our entrance piece to them. You'll be able to see them as you walk around the lake, and you'll be able to see them from sort of the edge. But ultimately, we want people to go inside and have a look. Now, because of the size of the house isn't that big, we are going to have a slightly smaller path than what probably we would normally like to have. As you can see there, it does kind of, we have to go for kind of the smallest path as we kind of come through. So I'm not quite sure how busy it's going to be, but we will find out. We will find out. At the end of the day, if it's busy, it's busy. We're going to make a little platform inside as well, so people can come out and, rather than just having you know, this little walkway will have a little bit that comes out so people can stand there and look, and you know, it kind of has more space. We will put the do not feed sign, because as we've been bitten with some of the other areas, you know, they do like to feed them. They do like to feed the animals, and they're going to be really, really close on this one. So yeah, we definitely want to get some of those in. So this will be the extension top, because ultimately this will be their hard shelter, but it's not going to be fully enclosed. The actual roof, which we're going to build very, very shortly, a glass roof we're going to build. There'll be a bit of warmness in there, put that back in. We are going to kind of rest and have slightly above rather than, you know, flush to the top. So we'll get the path done, we'll get the path down, and we're going to then build the roof probably on the grass. I think what we might have to do, we might have to just wait for the weather to cheer up a bit. We'll build the staff path round so the staff can have full access to it. And of course through there. All this area will be gone very, very shortly. We won't be having this safari area very, very shortly. That will be kind of next to go. So we're going to start building the wall, the roof, whilst the weather hopefully cheers up, because it's really difficult to work in the rain. So hopefully that cheers up. And then this is where we're going to put it. So we're going to balance it really nicely on top here. We're going to remove the surplus ones from the outside so it is a perfectly fit roof. And then I think what we'll, there we go. What we're going to do then is make it look like the wood is going through the glass. And that is our roof. That is our hard shelter. So with hard shelter all done now, we are going to quickly fill in a few details. We're going to put a few trees and bits in, and then we'll come back to you. So one of the key things we needed to do was move some of the facilities out of the way. Obviously, with demolishing the entrance to the African area, we have really got rid of one of our real main cause problem water functions, which we thought was underground and behind a wall. However, behind the ground and under wall doesn't do anything, as we've since established. But also this one down the side as well, because people are walking around the side areas, so that one needed to go, and this will be a main walkway round to the rest of the Africa enclosure, obviously with the elephants, especially once the safari's gone. So moving them to the back of the enclosure is exactly what we wanted to do, and yeah, you know, I think it's worked out quite nicely. But this is the giraffe house. This is the giraffe house pretty much finished. We're going to build in these facilities at the back here, make sure they're you know, sort of hidden away, if you will, just from the naked eye. We'll put some staff buildings in there as well, as we usually do, to make sure that people have easy access to get the food ready and everything, and it kind of gives them the best chance of feeding the animal on time. And of course, but what do you think? What do you think of our new giraffe house? Giraffes and zebras, we've only got one each left. We haven't got many left at all, so we're going to have to get some new ones in. They like to live in fairly big groups. We are definitely going to have to get some new ones in. But yeah, giraffe house come along really, really nicely. I'm really pleased with the way it looks. As I said, we didn't want to go sort of circular on this one. We did want to make it look a little bit more rustic, but on the next one we are going to be doing a perfect circle one, and we're going to be adjusting it, so that is one to look out for if that's something you want to be seeing and perhaps doing in the future. The way we've done this one is certainly long-winded, but actually I think it's worked really, really well, especially when we put the trees in there and we've hidden it behind you know, some of the beams and bits. But of course the inside is important. This is where they're going to be sleeping, so we are going to put all the enrichment items in now, and you know, make sure the habitat is right, make sure we've got enough in there for them to do. But that's highly important, highly important. A few more trees, a few more toys, and of course we'll have to see once we let the guests in how busy this area will be. It is quite close to the entrance, but you know, our new lion enclosure wasn't that busy, so it'll be really interesting to see how busy this one pans out to be once we go. But the views are going to be stunning, absolutely stunning. As you look around, they really, really are. And we're going to move these over now, kind of clear this bit down, make sure we got them all. I think there's only one of each, to be honest with you, so we'll get a few more in as well. Nope, so there's no more in there. Just deal with these, because these are getting to adulthood, so we're going to watch them. We're going to watch them now. It's a problem, you see, you unpause the game, other things happen in the game, so you do have to keep an eye out. But we want to get the water in, and we want to wait for the arrival. Both the giraffe and the zebra are quite old, in fairness. They're not youngsters, so I wouldn't imagine they're going to last too long once they're here. But it'd be nice to get them in, get them settled, get a mate for them, you know, give them a little bit of happiness for their remaining lives, once we've dealt with a couple of animals there. And well, there we go. The zebra has died in transit. So I don't really know what to say about that, and honestly, the zebra has died in transit. So the giraffe has arrived all right, but the zebra has unfortunately died. So no zebras to go in this zebra enclosure, which is a bit, yeah, not great, not great. And of course, since the update as well, just while we're over here, since one of the updates, it does seem like the animals actually escape. And that's because the trees kind of overhang the edge of the barrier. So although they've not technically escaped, it does seem like they've escaped. I've read quite a few people have had quite a lot of problems with them, to be honest. So what we've done is, when it's happened, and it's not happened as much as what some people have happened, it seems to have really happened quite a lot, we've kind of moved the trees in. And this area, this is carnage, absolute carnage. So yes, we will have to build, we should have built this initially, in honesty. We will have to build, sorted out these from fighting, there we go. We will have to build a kind of extension for people to be able to walk in, and of course get the education boards and speakers down here as well. These are going to be all important to keep the guests educated. But there you have it. This is our new giraffe and zebra enclosure. What do you think? What could we have done different? What would you like to see at the zoo as we are building and building and building? We want to get some new species in, and we're going to make this a full screen. That is the plan throughout the whole of this series as we run into the new year, and of course run alongside the theme park well. But thank you for joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.